What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Not So Pro Fantasy Football Talk. We are not late. It is 8 p.m. Central Time, right on time as we always are. And hopefully you guys checked out our videos last week. We had some major bangers on our waiver wire pickups. I mean, number one, of course, Baker Mayfield. Who picked up Baker Mayfield? Show of hands. Also, who picked up Derek Carr? Show of hands. Come on, dude. Those are some league winners that Baker you can't get anymore. Derek Carr is still available, but I will admit I wasn't projecting a complete blowout from the Cowboys. That was just a horrible game. Yeah, the Saints and Cowboys game there's a lot of upsets this week. It was crazy. I actually had same thing for Seattle. I had Seattle blowing out the Patriots. That must have been a game to watch, huh?
It was pretty good, yeah. All right, we're still having O-line troubles. That's the thing, but Gino's playing out of his mind. I don't know how he's making some of the passes he's making with the defense crashing in on him like that.
Well, I'm glad you said that because a little bit of a sneak peek here, Vince. I have Geno Smith on the waiver wire pickup. You got to pick him up, right? Because week 1, he played very well. Week 2, he had 44 passing attempts. 44. It looks like when Kenneth Walker is not available on the lineup, this is a pass-heavy team, right? And you saw people like DK, like JSN just absolutely explode, just bombs, dude. It was an absolute, thrill to watch if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan and you're taking notes if you're a Niners fan like myself. But yeah, Kenneth Walker is out. As I put in my notes, every week I send out a fantasy football cheat sheet. So if you want access to that, join our Discord. The link is down in the description. Free, of course. I send it out every single week. I believe I sent it out today, but I said if Kenneth Walker misses another week, which I believe he's trending to miss another week, then you want to get Geno Smith. Geno Smith is pass freaking heavy. Complicated situation, complicated matchup or not, this team's going to pass a lot more without Kenneth Walker. What's your opinion there, Vince?
Yeah, man, exactly what you said. If we don't have our workhorse in K9, Charbonnet is not that guy like K9 is. So, of course, we're not going to run the ball as much. He's not as efficient. He's not as physical, I would say, to a point of between the tackles. Outside the tackles against corners and safeties, he's as physical as it gets. He loves to try to put his shoulder into them, but he's just not a between the tackles type of guy. So that's why we're so pass heavy, but I love it. Because, I have DK in 3 leagues this year. I have JSN in 3 leagues this year as well. So I love seeing them out there playing like they should with this Ryan Grubb offense. But, yeah, if K9, as long as K9's out, we're going to be a pass-heavy team. So I like seeing that team in us. It shows what we can actually do when we actually rely on passing.
For sure. Andrea, what's going on? I want to hear everyone in the comment section. What is your record right now for fantasy football? We're through 2 weeks here. Week 1 was kind of rough for a lot of people. Week 2 is just as rough with all the injuries that's going on. So let me hear y'all's record. Let me know what y'all are doing. Like Rave here, he said the Brian Robinson trade went through, got his running back too. So he traded Jameson Williams, a guy who is a hot hand right now, for Brian Robinson, who takes the majority of the workload for Washington and has seen consistency as far as fantasy points. I like this trade. Originally, I wanted to get more out of it. I dove deep. Remember, a lot of times when we get asked these questions, we're at work. We have respected obligations that we had to attend to. But I try to do my due diligence and see what good trade partners are there for you to try to get a running back. The only one I can think of right now was Josh Jacobs, And he wasn't very productive. He had like almost 32 rushing attempts this past game and still didn't get much production. But I fully believe once Jordan Love gets back, his production will rise. But at this moment in time, I would rather have Brian Robinson on there. And that spoke volumes. Right now, running backs are scarce. We just had another running back go through, right? We had Isaiah Pacheco go down. He has a fracture. He's going to be missing 6 to 8 weeks. That's a lot of time for running back years, right? So 6 to 8 weeks for fantasy time, that is a lot. That is what could help determine whether your team is making it to the playoffs or not. So, Vincent, Jameson Williams for Brian Robinson, knowing the receivers that he has, I think this is an absolute dub.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought maybe he could get something higher, but we know when we're in competitive leagues like that, nobody really wants to trade something where it's equal. So I thought he could have got something higher, like we were talking about in that league. But since we saw his receivers and what he's going to get points wise, I mean, Brad Robinson is just somebody who's going to be efficient for him and is just going to lock him in a win, basically. So that's what we'd love to see there.
He's going one on one. He says, and Vince and AJ, I appreciate you guys always coming through with the questions. We try our best. I know Vince has absolutely been killing it on Discord. So if you guys haven't joined our Discord yet, hit the link below. It's in our description. Ask whatever questions you want. We will get to every single one of them eventually. At least one of us will. But Vince, appreciate you, man. You're giving out some great advice. I love your take on Kittle today.
Oh, yeah. That's my honest opinion there.
Big E says AJ and Vince says add Vince. Who should I get for Cup and Waddle, a wide receiver? So you're trying to get a wide receiver for Cup and Waddle. Now this is a lot of firepower right here.
Yeah.
A lot, right? Because Waddle still has a name. You got to trade him now before it is too late. And Cooper Cup, he just went on the IR, but everyone knows once he gets back, he's seen a heavy workload in that offense. You want to get the biggest bang for your buck, right? You want to shoot for the sky. Right now, it's easy to get someone like AJ Brown because he's also injured, right? It's easy to, I don't want to say easy, but it'll be great to get someone like Amon-Ra St. Brown because he's dealing with injury. If you want someone right now, and you can sprinkle a little side piece because he's not a huge talking point when it comes to fantasy football. A guy who I really like is Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a guy that I absolutely love that people probably won't mind getting rid of because he hasn't solidified his spot in fantasy just yet. But when you look at the stats, this guy is averaging 12 targets per game, and he is the number one target for Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens. And if the Baltimore Ravens continue to struggle against these teams, they're going to be very pass heavy as the season goes on. So those are some guys that I really like.
Yeah, man, I'm looking at guys similar to that. I'm even thinking maybe a Tyreek Hill. I still think that there's a possibility that he can be a guy with a lot of upside. And we've just heard that Cup is probably going to be out for a good amount of time. I'm thinking 3 to 5 weeks. That's why he's just hasn't shown up on the IR yet. They're trying to be like a little bit of some skeptics here and say like, oh no, we don't think we should put him and Puka on IR. We got to have one of them possibly come back before that time. But really, if they put both those guys on IR, they're not going to get them back until about week 8 because they have a bye week in week 7. So Puka is trending to hopefully play week 6, but if it doesn't go well, he's not going to be back till week 8. So that's basically what's going to happen. But yeah, I'm going after guys that are big money guys who are maybe going through a little bit of troubles. AJ Brown, like AJ said, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe even Nico Collins, guys. I mean, if people weren't riding high on Nico Collins in the beginning of the season, now you should be. But if you can't get those guys, still try to wait. Maybe Marvin Harrison will have a little bit of a down week this week, and you could possibly get somebody like him too. But don't be afraid to get guys like Devontae Smith. You already have Jalen Waddle. So you can just make those kind of lateral moves. But in my opinion, those guys are going to be getting a lot of attention soon.
See if you can swindle someone from Malik Neighbors.
It's true.
All right.
He's great.
You could also get Brandon Ayuk very cheap right now. Says, yeah, people are stingy in his league. That's a lot of leagues here. Vince needs a raise. I absolutely agree. We got to talk to Reed. He takes care of our financials. But yeah, this man over here, he needs a raise. Andrea, 7 at 1 and 2 leagues, 1 and 1, 2 leagues, and 0-2. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna bounce back. We'll bounce back. Now, I absolutely love this question because I can't tell you how many times I was asked this question just today. I had people call me and ask me this question. KJ, appreciate you coming back. It's been a while, brother. Love that you're here on the live stream. He says, "What's up, my guys? Better tight end waiver ad based off matchup. Hunter Henry or Mike Gesicki full PPR." Now, I'll do you one better. I'll give you a better waiver ad for tight end rest of the season. Okay. Because for me, I don't want to say this as obvious because this could come back and bite me in the butt. Right off the bat, I'm going Hunter Henry.
Yep.
Hunter Henry, 12 targets. He almost had 50% of the team's passing targets. That's insane. Off of 12 targets, the wide receivers had 15% of the targets. So really, the offense is running through tight ends and through running backs, and that's not a bad thing. Now, the reason why we didn't see much of Hunter Henry week 1 is we didn't need to, right? The Patriots were blowing out the Cincinnati Bengals. There's no need for them to run to pass heavy, and that's why Ramondre Stevenson had a great week. I'm going Hunter Henry all day. I think this guy could be a great asset to your fantasy lineup rest of the season. Mike Gesicki, I like a lot, had 9 targets, had a big role. Jamar Chase is playing like crap. T. Higgins is still injured. So Mike Gesicki is great, but they're in a 3 tight end rotation in Cincinnati, and I don't like that at all. Mike Gesicki is not even getting 50% of the routes ran for that offense, only 47%, while the other 2 guys dipping that cheese, right? I saw Big Money Joe comment on my video, dipping in that cheese, drinking his Kool-Aid. Stick with me long enough, you're gonna hear tons of crazy stuff. But yeah, I would Hunter Henry here, Vince.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, a sleeper that a lot of people haven't picked up yet. Not even in maybe some of those shallower type of 10-man, 12-man leagues. People are not paying attention to Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz isn't getting as many targets, but he's getting the points. Week 1, he got 5 points on, I believe, 4 targets. But this week 2 against a very bad New York Giants team, he got 10 points on the same amount of targets. So in my opinion, he's going to be a consistent guy to get the targets. He's always been good to get some receptions in there, and he's pretty good after the catch. So in my opinion, I think he's a safety blanket there for the young quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and I think he's going to continue to be since McLaurin has really not been a factor at all. So if you really, really need somebody, and of course Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki get taken before you can get them, then Zach Ertz is also there.
That's a great pickup right there, Vincent. Rafe says, I have Cup, Pacheco, AJ Brown on one team, and they all injured. And it sucks because we just heard news that AJ Brown could miss extended weeks due to his injury. So that's horrible news, especially for me. I traded Devontae, or I traded Smith in my first week for a running back, but don't regret it
Yeah.
whatsoever. You're probably gonna have to trade one of those guys, to be honest with you. You probably have one IR spot, and I don't think if you want to stay relevant for the rest of the season that you could afford having 2 of those other guys in your bench spots. You know, maybe if AJ Brown gets back soon enough, but that's gonna hurt you as far as waiver pickups. When was the last good receiver out of Michigan besides Nico Collins? The last good receiver out of Michigan.
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, the last time a receiver was taken high was Bell he's actually with the Niners, and he's the 5th string. So yeah, not very much. Big E says, is Ayuk gonna lock in? Also, Kyler looking like his prime. My Cardinals going to do good. Ayuk's gonna have to lock in. That's it. He's gonna have to. You don't have Debo Samuel, and you're gonna have Juwan Jennings, who just got signed for 1 year, outshine you. Are you serious, Ayuk? He's gonna have to lock in. If not, things are gonna be very, very bad. You don't have Debo Samuel, you don't have CMC. I do believe he will lock in eventually. I think there's a lot of rust. There's a lot of consequences whenever you don't play the whole offseason, and you're witnessing it right now. But I still think that he will be a great fantasy asset to your team, hopefully soon.
Not bad.
He says also kind of looking like his prime. My Cardinals going to do good for sure. For fantasy, he looked great. I mean, 2 touchdowns to Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first quarter.
Yeah, that was insane.
I thought I had one of those repeated notifications on Sleeper, right? And I was like, dude, there's no way, right? Like I just saw this. I thought I looked at you already. And then I looked at it. I was like, dude, no freaking way. Marvin Harrison Jr. from having 1 target to now 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Are you kidding me? That guy's locked in. He's the alpha on that offense. I'm very excited. For me, it's weird enough because I don't like the Cardinals. Fantasy wise, I could get players from there all freaking day, right?
Yeah.
Before it was D Hop and then Kyler Murray. Last year was Hollywood, Kyler Murray, James Conner. I was a James Conner guy forever and still am. And then now it's Trey McBride as well. Like you want to get these guys. He's very, very talented team, but
Yeah,
talented
man.
players, I would say.
The only thing I didn't like about Marvin Harrison was he started off hot. I mean, 4 for 4, had those 2 touchdowns, a bunch of yards already. But after that, I mean, he went silent. Pretty much 3 quarters, he couldn't get a catch anymore. So that's the only thing that I think maybe they'll still continue to work on, is getting acclimated to each other. But I mean, just him showing a glimpse of what he could be with Kyler Murray is great. So sky's the limit with that guy.
Big Money Joe says McBride is the alpha. Dude, that last touchdown that he had was absolutely absurd, to say the least. It's just absurd. Um, but yeah, Ray says Kobe Parkinson or Gasecki. I got busted out by Kobe last week. I had uh I had Kobe in the waiver wire pickup, but he didn't show out. So you still saw a little bit of Cooper Cup. This week, I do believe he will have a bigger workload now that Cooper Cup's officially out. And I think the number one guy to look out for over there is Robinson. But Gasecki will probably good this upcoming week, just not rest of the season, right? Once you see Jamar Chase get the ball rolling, once you see T. Higgins come back in, and you're still going to see a 3 tight end rotation, that's done. Kobe Parkinson for the next 2, 3, 4 games, maybe. I think he's going to be great. I would rather go Kobe Parkinson. I think that's a safer bet. I think he has more room for opportunity.
Yeah, man. His schedule looks a little bit easier there as well. He's got, of course, San Francisco. It's going to probably be his toughest matchup of these next 4 games, or yeah, 3 games before his bye week. Then he's got Chicago, where he should be pretty good, and then Green Bay. He should also get some points there. So I'm going Colby as well.
Cool, cool. Look at Caleb talking crap over here. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you being here back on the live. Big E says they started sitting people out. Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, hopefully if we're talking about the Rams here, right? That was
It was bad, man.
that was a bad game,
It was
right?
really
You
bad.
saw Blake Corum go out there. I felt bad, right? Because there's no one to block for Blake Corum. This guy was getting absolutely demolished in the backfield. And just to add to note there, the Cardinals, they don't have the best pass rushers. They did great. They did very good, but that O line for the Rams, it's bad. Thoughts on Drake London, Vince? I heard, but I would want to know why.
Honestly, dude, I just do not like his production. I mean, this week was maybe something in the right direction, but again, I haven't liked what I've seen from him. I feel like before he wasn't so sure-handed as he was in this game against Philly last night, but he looked good last night, so I'll give him his props. But I want to see it going into these next few weeks. They're going to go against Kansas City, where he's got a tough matchup. They're going to go to New Orleans, who they've been hot. So can they really get going as well? And then Tampa Bay, again, he's going to have another tough matchup there. So he's got some guys who he can definitely beat on these 3 games, but he's got some stuff to prove to me. So that's the only thing. I like guys who have proven it to me already, and Drake London is barely starting to do so.
Yeah. Big Money Joe says McBride has 15 targets in 2 games. We projected McBride to be a top 3 tight end for fantasy, and the route he's going, he might be number one if Brock Bowers slows down. Brock Bowers is just like that came out of left field. It was crazy.
Dude, I
Dizzle's
know.
in the house. What to do, man?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
McBride.
just glad. I'm just glad that I drafted McBride and Bowers in almost every single league. I think I have at least one of them and two of them in two leagues. So I have them both as a duo. It's great.
Andrea says, "Do you drop Christian Kirk right now? It's pretty safe to drop him with a slight chance of regret. I will try to before you do that. I'll try to package him up and try to get
Hmm.
something out of nothing. Because I mean, you did pay a draft pick for him, a pretty decent draft pick as well, top 6 more than likely. I'll try to get at least something, a bag of chips, anything for him. Um, but yeah, I think it's pretty safe right now. It's just piss poor. Bro, the Texans effing or F the Bears down, different team. It was
It
it
was all
was
right.
it was a close game. I
Yeah,
expected the Texans to absolutely just like demolish the Bears, and that didn't happen. And it's just there wasn't a very good offensive play. It could have been better, but I still have a lot of high hopes. Did you see the power rankings having the Texans at number
dude.
2?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean it's pretty high. Of course, I have them in maybe creeping into the top 5, but at 2 right now, it's like after that win, I don't know if they're too worthy.
yeah.
But I don't know. I really try not to pay attention to those. We're usually like ranked in the 20s all single year for the Seahawks, so it's like we're better than a lot of those other teams. So I try not to pay attention.
Yeah, but it's just unfortunate. I think I expect more. Dizzle's coming out saying Rogers AJ's favorite player, an egotistical maniac that is an incredibly talented football player, 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champ, and just plain and simple him. Put some respect on his name. I haven't even talked about Aaron Rodgers this stream, and I will not. I will refuse to talk about Aaron Rodgers unless it is a fantasy question. So next. Don't feel bad. I know Vince doesn't. Rams are in our division. Die Lambs. Yeah, the Rams, I think, are done. What do you do, right? You're going to lose next week against the Niners. I 100% believe they are losing against the Niners next week. I think the spread's almost 8 points. Um,
Yeah.
and then they could very much lose the next 2 games after that, right? I see them maybe winning one of the next 3 games. I think the Rams just turn over and fold. What are you playing for now?
I think the only team they could possibly beat is Chicago if they don't get their act together.
Yeah.
But going into the bye, it doesn't look very nice for them.
Chicago has a good defense, though. They got a good
True,
defense.
it's true. Yeah, there's a possibility they go on 5. I wouldn't put it past them. So
He is killing me talking about Christian Kirk. AJ, do you remember when I told you Christian Kirk is the definition of mid? You said wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. I'll own up to it. I'm not right all the time. I was drafting him as my wide receiver 3 for fantasy football.
yeah,
And hey, man, look at the other things I talked about. Look everything else that I talked about. I think I did pretty good overall as far as projections, especially with a lot of the old heads. Remember Alvin Kamara? He was an old head that you would have touched with a 12-foot pole or something like that. Or
number 1 running back right now, baby.
you think about that, Dizzle. You think about that. Look in the mirror right now. You think about that. Rodgers blows 0-4 versus the Niners in playoffs. Not a big Rodgers fan. I think he's a great player, great athlete. But we're not. Brady should go to Miami. Why would he? Why would he?
This was just stuck in the past, man.
He is.
He
He
likes
is.
the old QBs now.
Where's N'Keal Harry? He talked about N'Keal Harry, right? Preseason. Big E says DJ Moore is getting his targets. I think there's just a chemistry problem with Caleb and his O line. Trust me, I think Caleb is feeling a lot of chemistry with his O line, but I don't think the on-field chemistry is the situation here. I think Caleb Williams is just not used to the NFL. All right. You see this, right? He's getting pressure in his face. He's making dumb mistakes. I mean, he looks bad. He looks horrible. How can you sit? I know the answer to this, but how can you sit Bryce Young week 2 and you're still feeling confident with Caleb Williams? He's playing very bad.
It's really bad, honestly. And that's because Caleb Williams has a stacked roster. I mean, the wide receivers he has DeAndre Swift in the backfield. Of course, yeah, that O line is pretty terrible, but you can't expect the O line to hold everybody for 5 seconds because Caleb Williams is just trying to be Kyler Murray out there. And yes, he does get away from some hits, but he just doesn't have that, intuition yet as an NFL player. Kyler Williams has been in the NFL for what, 4 or 5 years now, uh, probably a little bit more in my opinion. But uh, Caleb Williams is just starting, man. He can't make those plays. He's got to get it out of his hands, and he has guys to do it. He's got DJ Moore there, who's just a great route runner. Just throw the ball to him. So,
Yeah. Dizzle says it's so early in the season, but Kamara's my favorite. But I told you this, and Zeke, you're right. You're right, Dizzle. I'm so sorry. You're absolutely correct. How could I ever forget anything you say? Adrian Aguilar 10 says, "Oh, finally, let's go. A trade question. I've been longing for these. Should I trade Travis Etienne and Jordan Addison for Devontae Smith and Scary Terry?" Okay. So let's break it down, right? Etienne, he has a lot more value now that Tank Bigsby went down with an injury. Jordan Addison, he's about to have a lot of value because Justin Jefferson's dealing with injury. Addison's going to be coming back here pretty soon. Devontae, a lot of value. AJ Brown's going to be missing some time, and he's going to be the wide receiver 1 over there for the Eagles. Scary Terry, on the other hand, what value do you have for Scary Terry? Exactly. Right now, you don't have any. You have a lot of upside, right? But Jaden Daniels does not throw the ball deep, and they have Scary Terry as a deep threat on that offense. So right now, you're getting Devontae Smith. That's a great pickup, but you're getting nothing else after that.
Yep.
Scary Terry is just a name, and for those of you who are out there, Dizzle, I said that, right? I said that in the preseason. I was hoping he'd do better, but this is just very bad. This offense does not go in his favor. Right now, I would say you keep Etienne because of the injury, you take Bigsby, and Addison, I would have him with more value than Scary Terry. What do you think here, Vince?
Yeah, same thing. The only thing I'll add to Addison is that right now there's a guy named Naylor. He's been getting the touchdowns that Addison is most likely going to get when he comes back. Justin Jefferson hasn't really been that touchdown guy. He's been the reception guy. Yeah, he's gotten in some touchdowns here and there because he's just a great athlete, and he had that one bomb that was pretty crazy. But Addison's going to be getting those targets inside the red zone as well. So Naylor will be kind of pushed to the side as a tertiary receiver, and Addison will slide into that role where he's going to be the red zone guy because everybody's going to be concentrated on Jefferson. So Addison has so much upside right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you want to trade him, you could get more than Scary Terry.
Way more, yeah.
B Silva says, "Can you go over the Kansas City backfield?" B Silva, appreciate you coming back here, brother. I know we messaged a couple times on Sleeper Fantasy. And what fab percentage you giving each? Oh, fine. Now we're tapping in to our fantasy knowledge here, Vincent. Okay, so we're getting some good questions here. So from what we know right now, tomorrow, tonight, anything could happen. The Kansas City Chiefs could go sign someone if they want. But what we know right now, your number one priority in that Kansas City backfield in the running back waiver wire system,
Steele.
It's Carson Steele. It is what it is. Up next, you got Samaje Perine, and after that, you have Kareem Hunt. And I'm going to tell you why right now. And I know. Isn't Carson Steele a fullback? He's a big body back. Don't be expecting to pick up an Isaiah Pacheco off the waiver wire. That's not who you're getting. You're getting a mid-tier running back. You're not going to get that elite running back in Isaiah Pacheco. Carson Steele will be a first and second down back. He will not be participating in any of the pass catching in the backfield or a lot in the red zone touches, right? First, second back, non-PPR leagues, this guy is the guy you want to get. I'll put about 8% of my fab into that. Everyone else, Samaje Perine, think of him as a super great value of Jet McKinnon when he was out there with the Kansas City Chiefs. He's nowhere near as talented as Jet, but That's the type of role he's going to have. Third downs, pass catcher, a lot of red zone, and that's it. Kareem Hunt, think about it last year. We got burned last year. He had the starting role in Cleveland, and he just fell face first. He's just washed. That's what it is. I'm putting maybe 2-3% of fab at most for P Ryan and Hunt, just for the off chance that they take it. But it's Carson Steele that you want to get. What do you think here, Vince?
Yeah, I think my order will go Carson Steele, and currently it's going to be P Ryan. But in a few weeks, I think Kareem Hunt will take that job from him, most likely, if he can get what Dizzle is saying, his wind under him. But he's just been out of the league and out of being a great player in this league for quite some time. So again, I don't think he's any better than Samaje Perine, but he does know the system there. He knows what Kansas City wants to do. So I think that gives him a little bit of an edge after a few weeks if he actually does get elevated from the practice squad. So just remember that, guys. He's only on the practice squad right now. Of course, they could elevate him at any time, but I mean, Steele's just the dude to do it. I'm not saying he's going to be a great guy who's going to get you 10 points a week, but he's going to be like maybe 5, 6. And on the off chance, he'll get in the double digits if he scores a touchdown. But he's not anything to run home about. I saw this take by someone who I watch from time to time on Instagram when he makes those nice videos. He said, "You're in this situation right now because you didn't draft enough running backs in your fantasy draft. So if you're out here trying to get some running backs such as Steele, thinking that he's going to be Pacheco, he's not, and you're still going to be in trouble. He's a good guy to have on the bench for sure, and in Dynasty, but other than that, he's not a home run hit."
Very well said there, Vincent. Let's keep up with some of these comments here. Dizzle talking about how mid some of these QBs are, that people need to be more like Jameis Winston, please. Big E says kickers might be a first round pick next season. Can someone please remind me who I wanted to get in every single league as the first kicker? Aubrey. Come on, guys. Oh, as years go, yeah, Terry McLaurin will probably be a wide receiver too for his team. That's how it is. I love this vocab. But Dizzle says, y'all see kickers are 35, 37 from 50
Yeah.
plus this year so far, and Tucker has both misses. That's insane.
Yep.
Absolutely nuts. Hunter, what's going on, dude? Appreciate you joining us here live on the stream. He says, trade AJ Brown for Rashee Rice. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
I don't like this trade. I like Rashee Rice. I think he's great. I think he's a mid to high tier wide receiver too. But once AJ Brown comes back, he's a wide receiver 1 for fantasy football purposes.
Yeah, man. The only guy, like the lowest I would go with AJ Brown is if I was trading for Cup, because they're both injured. But when they come back, these guys are sliding into the number 1 position on their team, right? That's AJ Brown. That's Cooper Kupp. Even if Puka is back before Cooper Kupp, I still think the upside is there to get the points that you want. Rashee Rice is a guy who's going to get you 15. It's going to be pretty consistent. If he has a miraculous game where he gets 2 touchdowns, then it goes up to 20. But again, that's nothing to write home about. AJ Brown has the higher upside, even with the injury here. But if you really need it, you need to get some Rice and somebody else for AJ.
There you go. Reed McCall, appreciate you being here. Reed says, we feeling good about Mason moving forward until CMC comes back, of course. Absolutely. Jordan Mason, he's going to absolutely crush it. And especially now with Deebo Samuel gone, Kyle Shanahan needs to look back at the tape, be like, okay, crap, I need to run more, right? And they ran quite a bit of times this past game, but I still believe Mason will finish off as a top 5 running back every single week, unless every single person like Alvin Kamara has a 40-point game every single week. But we'll see. But yeah, Jordan Mason is a must-start guy moving forward until CMC comes back. Dizzle, should I trade Ramondre Stevenson for Pacheco? Have Brees and Mason while he is out. Also have Brooks whenever he comes back. So how much value are we putting to Brooks here? Right? We might put a little bit more now that Andy Dalton is the starting quarterback there. I do believe he is a better quarterback. He has the experience and he'll get some more accurate passes down the field. But you really want to trade? I thought Ramondre was your guy, dude. I do have Ramondre as a late season sell high candidate.
Hmm.
I wouldn't mind this. I really would not if you want to make this trade because later in the year you'll be crushing it and you're fine right now with Brees Hall and Jordan Mason. So yeah,
Yeah. The only thing that I'm confused about here is Pacheco's hurt, bro. Who's to say he's actually gonna come back? But I mean, if you want to, if you feel that he is gonna come back this season, that's totally fine with me. But yeah, I think you just hold on to everybody you have. Right now, you're sitting in the prime position, and everybody wants your guys. So just wait a little bit for Chuba Hubbard. I think he's gonna do, or not Chuba Hubbard. Sorry, that's who I wanted to compare uh, Brooks to. Basically, what Chuba Hubbard is getting right now is what Brooks is going to get, and probably a little bit more, just because he's younger, a little bit more versatile, and in my opinion, a better pass catcher. So Brooks will come into his own. Just give him some time once he's off the pup, and you should be sitting pretty with a number 3 running back right there to rotate in and out.
nice, nice. Big Money Joe saying Pacheco's mid tier. Pats are going to regress in coming weeks, in my opinion. Big E says, is Mason going to get some carries even when CMC is back? Any logical person, any logical coach would say absolutely, right? But there's a reason why no Niners fans were absolutely losing their mind whenever they found out that CMC was injured, right? Start off the season injured, and that's because we all knew who Jordan Mason was, a guy who was averaging 5.7 yards per carry. He's a dog. He's an absolute dog, and so none of us were worried because we've seen it. Kyle Shanahan has seen it. We saw last year that when CMC was dealing with injury, it was Jordan Mason time, and he did great. He did phenomenal. But once CMC was fully healthy, it was all CMC again. So I wouldn't put it past me if CMC takes the whole workload all over again. But I would like to expect Jordan Mason, to get more of the reps, right? CMC, he's older. You want to save him for the postseason. So I do believe you. I'm going to say yes. But knowing Kyle Shanahan, wouldn't put it past me if he doesn't.
Yeah, I would say he gets carries.
Check this out. Should I sell or hold Worthy?
Oh
I
gosh.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm sorry. But it's just because people get excited, right? I get excited about players who just pop off in certain games. Worthy is going to have a role in this offense, no matter what. And his role might even increase now that Isaiah Pacheco is out because we've seen Worthy line up in the backfield. I would sell high on him because you're going to find inconsistency for what we've seen from years prior with the Kansas City Chiefs. If your name is not Rashee Rice, and now we're even regretting getting Travis Kelce, I'm skeptical about who I'm starting from the Kansas City Chiefs. So I would sell high on Worthy. You're going to regret some games, but there's going to be some games out there you'll be like, "Ooh, I'm glad. I'm glad I don't have to go week to week deciding whether I should start him or not." Right? That's just me. What do you think, Vince?
Honestly, yeah. I hate those situations where you have somebody that is just so roller coaster based. So what I'm saying about that is he did great in week 1, right? But you're seeing how he did in week 2, and now you're thinking, man, should I sell him? See if somebody takes the risk with him. He's just going to be a roller coaster player. We've talked about it all last year. It's usually those guys with Kansas City because they fluctuate with who they're going to be passing to based on the defense they're given. So nobody is guaranteed any targets except for Kelce. And even Kelsey's seeing some of that fluctuation this year as well. So that offense is just too risky for me. I try not to have anybody else unless it's Rashee Rice right now. Not even, I mean, Pacheco. I didn't draft Pacheco this year just because I knew it was going to be a totally different offense. But if you can, I would say sell. See if you can swindle somebody to take that contract of the roller coaster player. So that's my opinion.
Reed says, should I rethink starting Likely next week? He only had 3 targets. Um, you can rethink it. Overall, look at the tight ends. 3 targets, 4 targets. That's looking like the norm this year for these tight ends. If you don't have
Yep.
a better option, depending who your other option is, right? I wouldn't mind starting Likely again, but you saw Mark Andrews getting a little bit of that share back. You just, I feel like every single week, if your name is not Zay Flowers or Derrick Henry, we don't know what the outcome's going to look like for people like Rashad Bateman, for Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, Justice Hill, right? So, depending who else you have, yeah, you should rethink it. Tanner Nelson, this is an excellent question here. He says, do I get Hubbard or Steele from the waiver wires? Wow. Shocked that Hubbard is available. I got to move something off my screen. I think that's just on your screen. I don't know. I was like touching my computer. Hopefully it's not cracked. Jeez. Someone needs to buy me a new screen. But do I get Hubbard or Steele from the waiver wires? The question is, what is this offense going to look like now that Andy Dalton is here, right? You're smiling, Vince, because are you thinking the same thing?
Dude, I'm gonna get Hubbard, to be honest. If I had that chance, like we've seen what Hubbard could be in this league, especially with somebody who's, I'm not gonna say more competent, but has been in the league a little longer to know what he can do to check down. And Chuba Hubbard's the check down guy. I mean, we saw it in the past teams that he's been with. He's gone off. So I would say Hubbard for sure. Steele is, he's not going to be that guy to get you 100 rushing yards compared to Hubbard, who could get 4 catches and 4 yards and do just as great. So
I think the only way is up for Chuba Hubbard here because you're getting new quarterback play, smarter quarterback play. This past week or week one, it was horrendous. He had 6 rushing attempts, and that's that. Nothing
yep.
else. Well, mainly because they couldn't run the ball anymore. They were so far behind. This past week, they went through a different offensive scheme where he had 10 rushing attempts, but the key factor here is that he had 5 targets. And that is huge for a running back. So honestly, I'd get Hubbard. If you want to be safe, get Hubbard. If you want to be spicy, get Steele. But I think there's a huge chance of regret there. New offensive scheme, new quarterback. I think this is going to look entirely different. Not dramatically, but very, very different. Rave says, Pats with Jacoby will be a little below average this year. I think Stevenson continues his form. I think Stevenson will continue to be a must-start candidate rest of the season, 100%. Do I think that it's going to, regress? Probably. But from what we saw this past week, Jacoby's not throwing to his wide receivers.
No.
What else do you want me to say? He's not throwing to the 15% of his passes were to wide receivers, not just one, to wide receivers in general on that team. Everything else, 50% was to tight ends, to really Hunter Henry alone, and the rest were to running backs. So yeah, I think Stevenson,
that's what the Seattle defense gives you. So
huge upside.
Yeah, I think he'll do better against the Jets this week. So he's definitely a start guy for me. Dizzle might tell you differently, but I'm going to say that he's a start this week. He's averaging right now 19 points a game with 21 and 17 within the past 2. He's getting the carries. He's a change of pace guy. He could be your ball pass catcher. He could be your ball carrier in between the tackles. He's just great right now. So I think he's a must start.
Absolutely. Andrea says Seattle's defense or Raiders this week. So on my cheat sheet, if you guys don't know what that is, I release a cheat sheet every single week. Both those teams are actually on it. And if you guys want access to that cheat sheet, join our Discord. The link is down in the description below. It's absolutely free. Honestly, I think I want to say I want to go with the Raiders, right? Because you're going with the Panthers here. You have a new quarterback. Doesn't change much of my opinion on this pick. But you also don't have a quarterback in Miami. The only thing that scares me is that you still have access to Tyreek Hill. So I'll let Vincent answer this question. What defense would you rather have? Both are great options.
For sure, I think for the safe bet, I'm going with my Seattle Seahawks. They've been getting above 10 points the past 2 weeks, and the Raiders have not. But then again, it's Carolina. So I think the Raiders are the boom or bust type of defense because they give up a lot of run yards, they give up a lot of pass yards, but it just depends on how, you know, the Red Rifle or the Red Rider, not the
Not the Red
the Red
Rocket,
Rocket.
Reed.
No. Yeah, it just depends on how he does. If he can find his receivers, I think the Raiders might give up a few points here and there because I do think the team gets a little bit better, but not insanely. Uh, but it just depends on Max Crosby. If he can get to him uh, enough times, I think that they're going to make a difference. But if Seattle just plays the same way they've been playing, I mean, if you pay attention to any of our press conferences, Mike McDonald was pissed after this game. He says we gave up too many yards, and that was 180 yards total. And he says, I'm pissed. He's like, that's way too much. So we need to get it down. So I think against Miami, he's reserving nothing. Um, so it should be a good defensive game for us.
Nice. Reed says Kincaid is his starter, likely is his flex guy, and this is a dynasty league. Honestly, personally, I'm gonna go with the higher ceiling guy here. I'm gonna go with Isaiah Likely. Kincaid had 4 targets last game, had 3 targets week one, 2 targets week one. Not much of a difference there, and really the Bills' offense looks like a circus show. It is. It's all over the place. Don't know what they're doing. I want to go with the higher ceiling.
Yeah, I think I would go with Likely here as well. Uh, he's going to be getting about 50% of the target share, or not the target share, the snap share there. So again, he's not going to be in on all plays, but you really can't trust Dalton Kincaid either. You don't know if he's going to be in on majority of plays, if they're not going to have him in because of certain packages they're running during the game. Jacksonville should be an easy opponent. So I'm not too sure how that bides for Dalton Kincaid. Um, so I think Likely is just the better start here.
That's where I'm at with this as well. This one says Ramondre needs to check down this week to be fantasy relevant. Not expecting much from Pats Thursday. I think you should automatically expect the check down for Ramondre Stevenson. I just think that's how they operate. But yeah, I think he will be fantasy relevant due to his passing volume. Then he has Indy, Tennessee, or Bengals defense. Didn't have any of those guys or any of those teams on my waiver wire cheat sheet. But let's look at them real quick. So we got the Bengals against the Commanders. It's not bad. You got Indianapolis against the Bears. Don't mind that. Or you have Tennessee against the Packers. I'm not doing that.
Nope.
No, not doing that. So definitely not going Tennessee. I don't mind Indianapolis because they're going against their counterpart, the Bears. The Bengals defense is just it's not that great. They look decent against the Kansas City Chiefs, but that's just because of their scheme. It's perfectly countering the Chiefs, which that's the game they should have won. Honestly,
Yeah.
Vince, I'm kind of stuck here between the Colts and the Bengals.
I think just off the rip here, I think I wouldn't mind having the Bengals. I think Washington's going to put up some numbers against them, but as of late, I mean, the Bengals have been not the best, but they're all right. So right here on at least my league that I have it on, Bengals scored 8 points and 14 in the past 2 games, which is not bad. But then again, my stats here on the defenses are different because they include tackles and all that stuff. So it's probably a little less on your league. I think I'm just going to go with the Bengals here because you could keep them for week 4. They play against Carolina. So you could stash them by basically playing them in both weeks. I think that's probably going to be your best move if those are the best defenses out there.
Very, very smart here. But on the opposite side, sticking with that, on my cheat sheet, I actually had the Bears defense against the Colts.
Yeah.
Because the I know it's the Bears, right? But the Bears have been killing it defensively. Oh
Interceptions,
my
man.
gosh, dude. Interception. Look, just look at their stats for the past 2 weeks over here. So the Chicago Bears, the Bears, they had 36 points week one. Week
Yeah.
two, they had 12. But holy crap. If you're going up against a guy who had 9 completions week one and I think 12 completions or somewhere along those lines week two, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Tennessee is actually the number one overall defense. They've had a lot of close games. The Ray says Will Levis is just a bum. It has been bad. I mean, if you trust in your Tennessee defense to stop the run 95% of the time, then go for it. We saw over 30 rushing attempts from Josh Jacobs, and we saw Malik Willis with so many rushing attempts. And you know he's going to want to score this game. You know he is because that's his former team.
Yeah, man. I think the only reason the Titans are rated so high, I'm pretty sure you're looking at PFF or something like that with those stats. It's just because they haven't allowed a lot of yards. Really, in my opinion, I don't think they're the best defense. They don't have too many turnovers, if any at all. And actually, they just have a lot of tackles. Only 4 sacks so far on the year, and 1 forced fumble. So again, I'm not taking the Titans. Sorry.
Because it says Tennessee D is good. Take them. Take them then.
Take them, bro.
That's
All
what I
season
always
long.
say.
All season long, Dizzle.
In fantasy football, if you're confident, take them. If you like it, dale gas, right? Do it. And that's your fantasy team, right? We're just here to help give you our not so pro opinion, to advise whatever the best we can. Take it how you want it. That's what I always say whenever I send out my cheat sheet. Do what you please. Ray says in real life, their defense better, not for fantasy. Yeah, in real life, they've been playing well, but their offense have been imploding, right? So the offense has not been making a lot of sense. Will Levis has been making horrible mistakes, not so smart plays, and they just been shooting themselves in the foot. Raiders defense have a good next couple of weeks. So we look at the Raiders defense. They were on my cheat sheet this week. But looking at the next couple of weeks, can you pick them up? And then can you also feel comfortable going on? So you got Carolina, then you got Cleveland, then you have Denver, then you have Pittsburgh, then you have the Rams. Not a bad stretch at all. Not a bad stretch.
I think the only thing for me there is that they allow, a decent amount of points to where you're getting those negatives for points there once they get past, the 14 points allowed, the 21 points allowed. I don't think Carolina will do that. So definitely this week is a great week to have them. Cleveland, I think, could put up more than 14 or maybe even 21 points on them. Denver has a possibility, and then Pittsburgh has a high possibility of putting some points on the board there. Depending if Russell Wilson is back, I think it goes even higher. But if it's still Justin Fields, I still think they're good enough to put some points on the board. So it's not bad for sure. If you could stash them and play them and you feel confident for the next 4 weeks, it's always a good game plan. But if you can get those better defenses that usually AJ and sometimes me talk about, it'll probably benefit you a little bit more. But this will be a consistent 6 to 10 points possibly.
That's all you need from defense, really.
Yeah.
Ray says Titans got multiple stops on defense, but Will Levis can't do crap. Maybe you and the Bears should have like a fan meeting or something. That's just what it looks like. At least you guys have a defense. Look at Carolina.
Yeah.
So Ray says, Shadur Sanders will get us 6 primetime games next year for show. That's if Carolina doesn't get them.
I know, dude. I
Well,
wonder.
actually, do they
if
have this year's
hold
pick?
out? I think so. Yeah, I think they do. I'll
Okay.
switch it up to make sure, but I wonder if, I mean, I don't know if the Sanders family would even want them to be drafted, so we'll see.
See you, Dizzle. Appreciate you being here. We'll see you for the next hour in the stream. Faux show. um, Sawyer Abdulatif. So sorry if I butchered your name. I'm pretty sure I did, but appreciate you being here on the stream. By the way, if you guys are watching, we do know, I looked at the stats the other day, 50% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. Please hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. It helps us out a ton. But we have a great question here. It says, should I trade Rashad White, Stephon Diggs for Chase? I know in terms of value, of course, Chase is definitely the option, but is it panic mode for him? Will he eventually turn it up week to week? I'm not hitting the panic button. Absolutely, I am taking this trade. Rashad White, I absolutely love. He has to be active in the pass catching in order for him to be relevant for fantasy football. Diggs, he is in a 3 wide receiver by committee, and he's not even the wide receiver 1. I like Chase. Chase would eventually turn it up. He didn't really practice. Just compare him to Brandon Ayuk, right? He didn't really practice all offseason. He showed up to a couple of practices, didn't do much. He's still getting the rhythm of things. It's all in his head because of the whole contract deal. He's getting in fights. But once the Bengals start clicking, which we've seen for the past 4 years, that the Bengals will eventually get the offense going, you're going to want Jamar Chase in your team. I will take this trade. What do you think, Vince?
I mean, I'm not a big believer in Jamar Chase, so I would say if you could use this trade to get somebody else, I'm pretty sure it's probably better. If you could get Ayuk, I still think Ayuk has some more upside than Chase. But I'm just not a Jamar Chase believer. But this is not a bad trade. I mean, Rashad White, he's going to turn it around. I know he had a bad week, so don't hit the panic button on that yet. But Diggs, yeah, I'm not comfortable with Diggs on my team. He's going to be one of those guys that's a little bit of a tiny roller coaster. He'll get his touches, but he's not going to get those touchdowns where he's going to be, that touchdown reliant guy. So it's not bad.
I like this. Ray says, if you sub, your fantasy team will win week 3. I see it. Hell yeah. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. Appreciate you, Rave, as always. One awesome dude right there. Reed says, Will Levis takes the best pictures I have ever seen. Have you seen that on Twitter?
I have not.
No,
No.
we gotta read.
Send it in chat, Reed.
But put it on the Discord. We'll check it out there. Ray says Carolina owner is a dunce, making tons of money. I mean, kind of, right? Because you're selling tickets for $1.25 a piece, which we need to go. We need to go to a game for $1.25. I mean, we're paying a crap ton for travel, and we're paying a little bit for a hotel, thanks to Reed. But it'll be cool to go to a game. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Carolina is nice. It's a nice place.
Trading away Burns, that was huge. DJ Moore, huge. And CMC, gigantic. I mean, yeah. Just think about it. That could have been on your team. that could have been your team.
Of course, the hard part is retaining those guys. But if you have all 3, your team looks so much better than it is now. So it's not that hard to retain them. But yeah, I don't know.
And then you keep all those guys and you don't get a the first overall pick. You have CJ Stroud. Yeah, CJ Stroud. Oh my gosh, this would have been so good. So good. Sean Combs, appreciate you being here, Sean. Says this is not the best night for me. What's up, dude? Talk to us. What's going on, man? Talk to us. Let's see. Titans. If the Titans lose to the Packers against Willis, I'm going to harm myself. Oh, wait. There's a lot of trash talk when the Niners lost to Sam Darnold. That's okay. That's okay. I'm very happy for Sam Darnold. Very, very happy.
Let's see. Let's check the Discord. I want to see what.
Oh, he sent it out there. Oh yeah. So he takes awesome pictures.
Dude, that second one I don't get. Like, I wasn't watching that game, so I don't get like why he was just like full out freaking airplane sprawl like that. So I don't know. It's pretty funny though.
Sean Combs and Fed Gel RN. Sean says Willis is the same QB as Lamar Jackson, but with less turnovers.
Wow.
Wow, dude. Hey, I
That's
don't
a pick.
know if Lamar Jackson could run with a football full throw up. I give Malik Willis a lot of kudos for saying I'm not going to do this to my wide receiver. I'd rather just run with hits. That is disgusting. That is insane. Oh my gosh. If you
I don't know, man.
that was
I
gross.
didn't. I really didn't see him wipe his hands on anything after that, though. So
He's
maybe
making it.
he's a little freak.
Yeah. It's different with Willis because we invested in him years ago and drafted his replacement. Yeah, that's very true. I remember that draft. I was very shocked when I
Yeah.
saw that. But there was a lot of quarterbacks going out that draft, and yeah, it will be extremely difficult. I had very high expectations for Will Levis this upcoming season, very high. Um, Yeah, it was a hype last year. So before we head out, I do want to hit a couple of key points today. All day we haven't, or this stream we haven't talked about wide receivers, Vincent.
Not at all, bro. I mean,
And
of course, in trades and all that stuff, yeah, but
that just really goes to show that running backs are scarce here,
yep.
Even with the amount of wide receiver injury. Larry Dickham, appreciate you being here on the stream and feeling confident. Hit that subscribe button; it helps us out a ton. Says Willis really has that dog in him. He impressed me. Um, I didn't get to watch the game because whenever the Niners game is on, that's all I watch, and then I do my best to go back to watch a little bit more than just highlights. But I heard that it was just a running game. He scrambled a lot, but I cannot wait to see him this upcoming game.
Yeah,
But if he really did look that good, what's with all this Willis questions, right? Or comments? Do we have a lot of Willis fans in here? That's insane.
pretty sure.
Not bad, not bad. I take Willis over Purdy. No cap, dude. Get out of
Oh my
here, dude.
god,
Oh my, who is this? Is this Dizzle's counterpart for real? But
it could be with that name. I don't know, but if
gosh,
that's your real name, nice name. No, nice name.
we seen a mobile quarterback try to take place in a Niners offensive scheme, and just it doesn't work out that well. But look at the stat line. Purdy's still doing great. But real quick, Vincent, let's talk about some wide receivers before we head out of here. For
Sure.
whatever reason, this guy's only owned at 57% of rosters, and that is Rashid Shaheed.
I know.
Why is he still available? Why? Why? I don't understand. Go pick him up. If you're watching this show, stop what you're doing. Put him on your waiver wire. And just make sure he's not available for anyone else in the next couple of weeks. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, bro. I was so flabbergasted before week 2 started. I picked him up at 11:30 before
Yeah.
the 12 o'clock slate, and I was like, "What is he doing here?" And so I just picked him up, and I don't regret it at all. I mean, he was on my bench, but he's going to be sliding into the starting lineup because of some injuries.
Yeah, I was gonna pick him up, but the whole Puka Nakua injury screwed me over. So I
Mm.
had to let go of TJ Hawkinson, and then you made the play of the year where you picked up TJ, put him in your IR, then picked up Rashid. I was like, that was literally my play. That was supposed to be me. But very good on your part. I see you, Vince. I see you, bro.
Hey, dog. I was quick with it.
Yeah, you were. You were. But yeah, he's out there. Go get him. Another guy is the big Q, right? Quentin Johnston, the guy who absolutely crapped the bed last year. Number one first round pick for the Chargers. Looks like he's actually showing up this year, right? This last game, he had 6 targets, he had 2 touchdowns, and this guy's just absolutely killing it. We thought Ladd McConkey was going to be the go-to guy. It seems like Quentin Johnston is, dipping his hand in the cheese. So go pick him up. He's out there. He's available. Last guy I want to talk about is there's quite a few guys, but let's talk about Yoshi. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, Andre or Yoshivas or
Yoshivas.
Yoshivas, right? Guy from the Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase continues to play that crap. T. Higgins continues to miss some time. Yoshivas is a guy they're looking out for.
Looking good.
4 targets, 2 of them were caught in the end zone. I don't know. He's worth a pickup.
Yeah. I mean, if you're getting red zone targets, I mean, you're valuable. So I like it.
Drop Jalen Waddle or Jalen Wright, handcuff for Shaheed.
I mean, yeah, if you can get Shaheed, do it.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind that at all. Well, very cool. First time this stream, we caught up with all the comments here.
I know, man. But yeah, I have a few wide receivers for the deeper leagues as well. Um, I know I'm just always on the dynasty waiver wire because I'm just like trying to scheme like, oh, if this guy goes down or if this guy gets traded, like this guy moves into the starting lineup. Of course, before all the rookie stuff, but a guy I've been looking at for quite some time is Ray McLeod for Atlanta.
Ooh, yeah.
Um, he's very nice, you know. I think week 1 he had 9 points. I think week 2 he had like 6 or 7, something like that. But he's very, very acclimated into this offense. I mean, they have runs for him coming out of like jet sweep type style, and then he's just really consistent with getting open for Kirk Cousins. And I mean, now that Drake London is getting a little bit more touches as well as Kyle Pitts here and there, I think his playmaking will go down, but I still think he's going to be part of this offense because of his speed. So that's one guy that I'm really, really high on right now. And of course, if you can get Quentin Johnson, he's not owned in a lot of leagues right now. He's only 16% owned on the Sleeper app, at least. Get him, you know, especially in those deeper leagues, especially in those dynasty leagues. He should be on a roster, even though he did have some catching troubles. It looks like maybe he's going to be a little bit better. So those are just two guys that I've been keeping my eye on for a little while.
Very nice. Yeah, I do agree. Ray McLeod, he had a big role in that offense until he threw that punch and kind of ruined it for himself. I miss Ray. He was a Niner. He was a Steeler
Yeah.
before. But Rave, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, dog. You're here from start to finish. This guy is a true MVP, so he will be getting the VIP status. Thank you, as always, for being here, man. But we are about to close out for the day. I am going to end off with some defenses that y'all should get. We talked about Seattle. We talked about the Raiders. Now let's talk about, we talked about the Bears. So I only got one defense left. And I'm going to say the Buccaneers going up against the Broncos. I think that would be a great pickup for you if they are available, which I do believe they are in over 50% of leagues. Vince, that's all I got today. Do you have anything else?
Nah, man.
All righty. Cool. We've been on for over an hour. Appreciate every single one of you guys who have been here or who was here the whole stream. Rave, you were one of them. Says Bills or Seahawks defense. We're going Seahawks here, 100%. Andrea saying, have a good night. You as well. If you have any more questions or if you caught us at the end, join our Discord. The link is down in the description. Ask us any questions there. We will answer every single one of them, even before midnight, so you can hit those waiver wire picks. But thank you all so much. And until next time, as always, keep on grinding.